out there. It's Dr. B and Elizabeth too. She is so excited to bring you Barefoot with Babinski. We are going to say bye-bye Babinski today, right, girlfriend? That's right, Mom. So hopefully you all are enjoying an amazing September out there and ready to move into the fall. And you're ready for the pumpkin spice fracamacalacachino things. We don't drink those, right, Elizabeth? No, 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 no. Okay, so hello everybody again. I am going to cover Bye Bye Babinski. We're wrapping up our final segment in our primitive reflex series. And Elizabeth is going to take a little bit of a nap while we do this, and she shall return. So we'll put her down. And let's hit our slideshow and ready to go. Okay, Cairo Shakir, again, you are amazing. Thank you for this time. Thank you for allowing us to share our messages and for always having our backs in the chiropractic community, especially for the little fiddle farts, because the little fiddle farts really need us now more than ever. So let's dive into Babinski. We have gone through all of these in integration order. Remember that integration orders, how they naturally occur. They should occur depending on our milestone movement patterns. When little fiddle farts adopt maladaptive motor movements is when we run into trouble, because that can negate the integration of these primitive reflexes. So we want good optimal motor movement. That requires them to be subluxation free. So that's where we, as chiropractors, make a huge impact on these reflexes. So we are down to the bottom. We are down to Babinski. And let's get rocking and rolling. It emerges about a week postpartum, stays active for about 1 to 2 years. And literally, the reason I wanted to go barefoot with Babinski is because barefoot stimuli, walking, etc., can make a huge impact on integrating Babinski. So it's okay, especially on surfaces like grass and sand and so forth. That can be a huge plus for Babinski go bye-bye. I don't want to be cookie cutter, because we always want to hone in and use our skills that we're so great on and learn so much about, as far as adjusting specific segments, vertebral subluxations. But oftentimes you're going to see L4, S2 pathways. You'll oftentimes see a base posterior sacrum here, and you might also see an association with enuresis. So that's just a little side note. We're going to potentially see disruption of the vestibular and proprioceptive sensory systems if that Babinski stays active. So those are two sensory systems. If you've been with us for any of these 7 previous sessions, we talked about how primitive reflexes basically represent the maturation, the optimal development of various sensory systems, sensory motor systems. So Babinski would have a large regulation over vestibular and proprioceptive systems. You might see a correlation of toe walking if Babinski stays too active. And in turn, toe walkers often have poor vestibular and proprioceptive systems. So that's that connection right there. If it stays active or it becomes active again later in life, we want to think of upper motor neuron lesion, and we want to look at that frontal lobe. So we want to look at some executive functioning struggles and some frontal lobe testing there. So it is, again, influenced by the movement of our feet and legs, our lumbar spine. Again, this is lumbar spine and pelvis. This is why chiropractic is so crucial here. It's going to help us develop lower muscle tone. You might see, again, which is the chicken or the egg, a low muscle tone little fiddle fart holding on to this reflex. Or likewise, this reflex for some other reason staying active and decreasing the strength and the tone in the lower extremities. So you just got to figure out which is causing what, and they, of course, they can go together. It helps us prepare for progressive movement, cross crawl patterning, going from sitting to standing to running to walking, etc. Balance, coordination, even speech, and again, a higher cognitive load because it's associated with that frontal lobe. We so we said it's active starting the first week following birth. They can have trouble. They can be clumsy. They can appear as a clumsy kiddo. Trouble walking, running. It's like, can't you stay up? Can't you stay upright on your feet? You're always falling over. Loose ankle stability. So this is one of those ones where the potentiality of orthotics might be a big help here, because you might see chronic ankle sprain strains. So orthotics, a lot of vestibular wobble board work, once they're at an age where they can do that. Those are kind of things that we want to incorporate if we see an active Babinski, and certainly if you've seen chronic ankle sprain strains. I use a really fun system in my office. It's called Bobo Balance System, the Bobo Balance System. You can go to bobo-balance.com. And the kiddos love it because it is it's an app you use. So it's a wobble board with a Bluetooth device in it. You get an app. I download it onto the iPad and have the iPad on a stand. And this balance, it's a balance game, and it runs through, it has different mazes and obstacle courses and different fun games that kiddos are used to this screen time and playing games. So it's really interactive, and it keeps their attention. So Bobo Balance is an amazing, and it's a good price point too, that I have my patients buy them and have them at home. Okay. So that's a little tidbit right there. Again, toe walkers, pigeon-toed. And when we do when we look at one of the potential ways to help integrate this, if it's staying active, is getting into that a pigeon toe position. I'll show you that. They might drag their leg on one side when they're learning to crawl. They might have a limp on one leg when they start to walk. Again, these compensatory motor movement patterns. Chronic tension in their hips, their legs, their posterior calf muscles. So they can be on a cortisol kick because of when Babinski's active, it's hard to know where we are in space, to move through space, and that is very unnerving to the nervous system. The brain wants to see the status of the body. The brain wants to know the status of the body within the external environment, and how do I move through this environment in a safe and sound way. But the body also wants to know the status of the internal environment. And if we don't have that going on, it can create a very anxious paradigm. And that's where you lead to that cortisol kick. So you'll see that extensor muscle tone can be hyperextension. So again, trouble coordinating and walking through space, and we've covered that. One of the first things you want to look at with your little fiddle farts is as they start to go through their motor movement patterns and they start to do the belly crawl position. I call it the toe dig, and I'll show you a picture here in a minute. Is that big toe basically digging into the ground to push them forward as the opposite hand is flat and pulling them forward when they start belly crawling? And that's going to help this Babinski to integrate. So here's a picture here. And I just use this as some of my exercises in my Developing Minds program. So if you have an older patient that maybe had a stroke or some kind of other lesion, so forth, you might need to take them back in time to the early years of these cross crawl motor patterns. And one of them is the belly crawl. So this would be for an adult or a kiddo and then I'll show you this little clip. Hopefully, this is an old clip back from my early days. Hopefully it will play okay for you. So you'll see how when we're doing the belly crawl position, one arm is forward, the opposite leg is flexed, and that toe should be digging into the ground for them to push off on as they're taking this hand and pulling themselves forward. If I have an individual, it doesn't matter which age, this information can be used across all ages and all stages, is I will put my hand, if they're not pushing off on that toe, I will put my hand underneath their big toe and kind of help their brain. I will tap it. I will make sure, I say, can you feel my hand? I'm basically cueing their brain to pay attention to that big toe. Okay. And so that gives that brain a little bit more input of, hey, I have a big toe on that side, let's use it. And so I will kind of push them forward. I kind of let them push off of my hand so that we can start that pattern and work that pathway. So then it becomes automatic and they can start doing it on their own. Okay, so sometimes you have to help cue their brain to know they have a left side, a right side, a big toe, a little toe, etc. Okay. So we'll see if this one plays. Again, it's an old video. This little guy right here, I'm trying to think how old he was. He was maybe 5 at the time, and he just graduated from high school and starting college. His first year of college. But if you look at this video, you're going to see how the level of struggles that he had in his early years. So it's kind of fun. I just thought of that right now. I didn't put 2 and 2 together when I put this presentation together. But now I'm looking at it, I'm like, wow, he's come so far and he's actually attending college. So the things we can do is amazing. So let's see if it goes here. Remember? Okay, ready? This one, hold on, buddy. Okay, ready? Go. Other side. Remember, this goes straight. This goes bent. Hold on. It was so uncoordinated. Straight, remember? Okay, slap that hand. Go. Okay, switch sides. So he was having more trouble pulling himself forward. So you could see I was putting my hand on top of his hand, kind of anchoring his hand so he could pull himself forward. And we started with the toe digs first, got that kind of going, and then had to move up to his hands. So they can be challenging. He was at the size, body-wise, that I could handle him on my own fairly okay. If they're an adult or a bigger kiddo, you might have to have one person doing the toe portion and one person doing the hand portion and really getting those neural circuits start firing up. And then I have parents do this at home, depending on the level of their neurofunctional capacity. You know, they might be able to handle a minute of it, 3 minutes of belly crawling a day, several times throughout the day, 3, 4, 5, 6 times a day. Really, really intense circuit training of that belly crawl. So this is extremely important one when we're looking at the trajectory of neuromotor development. All right, so this thing stays active. How can we help integrate it? What you can do is there's a lot of different things. You can have them pick up marbles with their feet. You can have them do almost like the if you have brain fart, shin splints. You would have a person pick up marbles with their feet. You can have them roll up a towel with their toes. You can do the same things for Babinski. If those are things, if they can do that, if they have the functional capacity to do that, right? If they don't have the functional capacity, what you can do is you can just take the pads of your fingers and stroke up along the lateral side of the foot and over, just like you were doing to check the Babinski, right? That's how we would stroke, and we would look, does that big toe still extend? All right. So to integrate it, you could do that like 3 times. Take the pads of your fingers and just stroke like you would be testing for it. Okay, do it 3 times, 3 to 5 times. Then take their foot and you're going to do 1 set in inversion and 1 set in eversion. Put the pads of your fingers on the lateral side of the foot where you would start that stroking to test for it. If they can put their big toe into extension, then have them do that. And this little fiddle fart, that was not plausible. He couldn't do it, okay? So I mimicked it for him, where I took my fingers and I put his toe into extension, okay? And what you want them to do is you want them to try to resist against your hand that in which your fingers are curled around the lateral side of their foot. So basically you want them to try to do an eversion maneuver while you're inverting the foot, an isometric resistance. When you have the foot everted, you want them to try to invert it against you, okay? And hold for like 5 to 10 seconds, again, depending on their functional capacity, and do 3 to 5 sets of that. Now, if this is not plausible, that patient can't do this. The other thing you can do is you can put their foot in an inversion pattern. Again, if they can extend their big toe, have them extend their big toe. And I just simply have them lying supine. Okay, rest supine, arms to the side. You're putting their feet into inversion, extending the big toe if they can, and just do rebounding. You're just rocking their body from inferior to posterior. You're like jiggling them, just rocking their body as a unit. And do that for about a minute. And that can be a way also to help integrate this Babinski. So again, you have to pick and choose depending on where they're at functional capacity wise. I will usually, if I can do this set of maneuvers, or I might even add the rebounding, just an extra layer after I do this set of maneuvers. If they can't do this, I'll just do the rebounding. And then we'll finish it up with having them, ideally in picture number 1 here, I'm just using my index finger and having them actively curling their toes around my index finger, and I'm trying to pull up on their toes. So they have to resist that tension. And again, holding 5 to 10 seconds, doing 3 to 5 times. Again, if they can't do that, how do I modify it just to get that firing started in their brain? I will wrap my hand around them with my thumb underneath those toes. I'm holding their toes down, rolled over my thumb, and I'm bringing up the tension. So modify until you can get the higher levels and get them to do more sophisticated maneuvers. Okay, so we talked about picking up marbles, rolling towels, picking up little toys, and this is a great one where you can play devil's advocate and do a couple things at one time. If they have trouble with crossing the midline activities and knowing right from left, that might be an AT&R reflex still active. I'll have 2 piles of marbles or little toys of, a shark and a turtle and a pig and a whatever. Okay. And they'll have to take their right leg. So now you're going to get some vestibular balance in the mix. some proprioception. They're going to have to use their core so they don't splat and fall over. And I will have them they'll have to take their right foot and cross the midline and pick up something on this side and then bring it over to the other side. And then they switch and use their left foot to pick up from this pile and bring it over. So you're doing a lot of things at one time. You're helping Babinski, you're helping core stability and vestibular and proprioception and visual motor. You're helping, I said Babinski, and crossing the midline. So you got a lot of things going there. You got a lot of bang for your buck and one fun exercise. So, okay, that's Barefoot with Babinski. Say bye-bye, Babinski. And again, Kyra Secure, you're amazing. Thank you so much for letting us do this and spread the amazing word of chiropractic. And next month, we will be back, right? She's rested, ready to go. Boom, boom, boom. You will see Eric Kowalski the first Thursday of October. And Elizabeth and I will be here the third Thursday of October, ready for our pumpkin spice, whatever. We don't drink those things, but we'll have something pumpkin spicy. What? You with me, girlfriend? She's with me. And maybe we can find her a Halloween outfit by then. Until then, you guys keep being amazing, keep saving lives, and we'll see you in October.
Today's pediatric show, Look to the Children, was brought to you by ChiroSecure.